2026 Reality Check for anyone earning in the United States begins with clarity about income dynamics and cost structures that define everyday financial life across this nation. For millions of workers and families, income does not simply represent cash coming in each week. It represents potential to shape stability, security, and opportunity. That potential is influenced by evolving economic patterns, policy shifts, labor market realities, and personal finance practices. One of the most consequential developments entering 2026 is the persistent divergence between wage growth and inflation. Official data from government sources show that average hourly earnings have increased at rates that trail the increases in the cost of essential goods and services. Food, energy, housing, and transportation expenses continue to absorb larger shares of take-home pay. That trend places pressure on households with constrained income or limited savings. It also alters how people must prioritize spending and saving. The concept of real wages is central to understanding this reality. Real wages represent the purchasing power of income after adjustment for inflation. When inflation outpaces wage gains, real wages fall. That means workers must spend more money to maintain the same standard of living. Data from labor and economic research indicate that although wage gains accelerated in some sectors over the past year, broad-based wage growth has not kept pace with increases in consumer prices. That dynamic is reshaping household decision-making. People are rebalancing budgets to focus on essentials first. Discretionary expenses are receiving less funding. Savings contributions may be deferred until income increases or cost pressures ease. In 2026, the labor market remains robust in headline metrics. Unemployment rates are near historical lows, and job openings in many industries exceed pre-pandemic levels. However, a deeper look reveals uneven momentum. Growth in high-wage professions contrasts with weaker demand in sectors that traditionally support entry-level workers. Technology, health services, and renewable energy jobs are expanding, while employment in administrative support and routine service roles is growing slowly. This divergence matters because it affects who benefits most from the current labor market. Workers with advanced technical skills or specialized training are often in higher demand. That demand translates into stronger negotiating power for compensation and benefits. Conversely, those in roles that are more easily automated or outsourced face slower wage growth. For anyone earning in the United States, the implication is clear. Skill development and continuous learning are more important than ever. Traditional career paths that relied on long tenure within a single company are giving way to non-linear trajectories where workers move between roles and industries. Income diversification is another theme. Workers are increasingly combining earnings from traditional employment with supplemental income streams. A supplemental income stream might come from freelance project work, contract roles, or skill-based consulting. These approaches do not replace a core job, but they provide income flexibility and resilience when economic conditions shift. Budgeting fundamentals remain foundational to managing personal finances. In 2026, workers must assess how income intersects with fixed obligations, variable expenses, and saving goals. Fixed obligations include rent or mortgage, utilities, and debt commitments. Variable expenses include groceries, fuel, medical costs, and discretionary spending. Mapping these categories against take-home pay reveals where adjustments are necessary to maintain financial balance. Emergency savings is a specific category that demands attention. Financial planning experts generally recommend building a reserve equal to 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This reserve acts as a buffer against income interruptions or unplanned costs. For many households, accumulating that level of savings remains difficult. The gap between earnings and basic costs leaves little discretionary cash available for savings. Retirement planning is also part of the broader income reality check. In 2026, many workers are reassessing how much they are saving for long-term goals. Employer-sponsored retirement plans remain widely used, but participation rates and contribution patterns differ across income brackets. Higher wage earners often contribute more in absolute terms, while moderate income households may find it difficult to allocate significant funds toward long-term accounts. Tax policy shapes how income translates into disposable cash. In 2026, the tax code includes provisions that affect workers at many income levels. Standard deductions and tax brackets determine effective tax rates for individuals and families. Changes in credits for families with dependents, education expenses, or other qualifying conditions influence after-tax income. Healthcare costs remain a significant budget factor. Premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses continue to rise faster than wage growth. Workers who obtain coverage through employers often share the cost with their employers. Those who obtain individual plans on health exchanges face premium variability that depends on age, location, and plan selection. For workers in lower income brackets, healthcare expenses can consume a disproportionate share of take-home pay. Housing affordability remains a core pillar of the income reality check. Home prices in many regions have declined modestly from peak levels. Mortgage interest rates continue to be a key determinant of monthly housing costs. Rent increases in urban centers and tight vacancy markets maintain pressure on budgets. For workers seeking to buy a home, higher financing costs and down payment requirements present barriers. Given these factors, anyone earning in the United States must approach 2026 with a multidimensional financial frame of mind. That means tracking income trends, updating skill sets, and optimizing how money is allocated. The magnitude of change in work and cost patterns requires a disciplined and adaptive approach. One practical step is to conduct a detailed income and expense analysis. List all sources of income, including primary employment, bonuses, and supplemental earnings. Align this total against fixed and variable expenses. Identify categories where spending can be reduced. For example, subscriptions that are underused or discretionary purchases that deliver limited value. Redirect those funds toward essentials or prioritized saving goals. Understanding personal cash flow enables better decisions about risk management and future readiness. For many, establishing and funding an emergency reserve remains a top priority. This reserve should be accessible and held in safe, liquid accounts. Workers should aim to increase this reserve gradually as income permits. Another component of 2026 planning is refining career strategy. The labor market continues to reward workers who blend technical competence with adaptive problem solving. Employers value workers who can navigate complex challenges, learn new tools, and contribute to team goals. In practical terms, workers might focus on gaining certifications, expanding industry knowledge, or building portfolio evidence of competence. Networking remains valuable. Professional relationships can facilitate access to opportunities, referrals, and insights about emerging roles. Attend industry events, engage in community organizations, and maintain connections with colleagues. Debt management is another pillar of financial health. While responsible borrowing can support life goals, unmanaged debt can erode income flexibility. High-cost borrowing should be reduced where possible. Create a plan to prioritize repayments of high-interest balances and avoid accumulating new obligations that outpace repayment capability. In addition, workers should understand how taxes affect net income. Estimate tax liability early in the year and adjust withholdings or estimated payments to prevent surprises at tax time. Recognize available credits and deductions that legitimately reduce tax burden. Retirement readiness is another dimension. Contribute consistently to employer-sponsored plans and consider tax-advantaged accounts if available. Even modest contributions made early accumulate meaningfully over time. Still, beyond savings and retirement planning, protecting income through risk management strategies is essential. Workers should assess exposure to events that could interrupt earnings, such as prolonged illness or occupational displacement. Build contingency plans, maintain professional qualifications, and maintain financial flexibility that can absorb temporary setbacks. Finally, worker mindsets matter. Approach 2026 with realism about income potential and cost commitments. Set clear, measurable financial objectives and review progress regularly. Adapt when conditions change and seek informed guidance when complex decisions arise. 2026 presents opportunities for those earning in the United States who are willing to align behavior with evolving economic realities. Mastery of income dynamics, cost structures, and personal finance practices equips individuals to navigate uncertainty with confidence. By integrating disciplined budgeting, proactive career advancement, and prudent planning, workers can strengthen their financial foundation. This foundation serves as a platform for future decisions that reflect both ambition and stability. Understanding these core elements of the 2026 Income Reality Check is the first step. In the next part, we will transition into specific tactics and strategies that workers can implement immediately to build resilience, enhance earnings, and optimize long-term financial outcomes anchored in documented trends and research. More guidance follows. Understanding the pressure points is only useful if it leads to concrete actions that improve control over income, expenses, and long-term direction. A central reality of 2026 is that income stability is no longer just about having a job, it is about how replaceable that income is. Workers who rely on a single narrow skill set face higher risk if demand shifts. In contrast, those who build layered skills create flexibility. This does not mean chasing every trend, it means strengthening skills that transfer across roles. Analytical thinking, operational problem solving, technical literacy, and communication skills consistently rank high in employer demand data. In practical terms, this could look like a warehouse manager learning supply chain analytics, a healthcare worker gaining data reporting skills, or a tradesperson adding project estimation expertise. These upgrades increase value without requiring a full career reset. Research from workforce development studies shows that incremental skill stacking often produces higher income growth than starting over in a new field. Another defining feature of 2026 is income compression in middle tiers. Many workers are earning more in nominal dollars, but feel poorer because costs have risen faster. This makes expense optimization just as important as income growth. Expense optimization is not about extreme frugality, it is about intentional allocation. Housing remains the largest expense for most households. In 2026, flexibility is an advantage. Some workers are negotiating remote or hybrid arrangements that allow relocation to lower-cost regions. Others are downsizing or renegotiating leases. Even small changes in housing costs can free up significant monthly cash flow. Transportation costs are another area of pressure. Fuel prices, maintenance, and vehicle financing absorb a growing share of income. Extending vehicle ownership periods, reducing unnecessary travel, or coordinating work schedules can meaningfully reduce expenses without reducing quality of life. Food costs continue to rise faster than general inflation. Households that plan purchases, reduce waste, and limit convenience spending often see immediate budget relief. These changes are not lifestyle sacrifices, they are efficiency gains. Once expenses are optimized, attention shifts to cash flow direction. In 2026, cash flow discipline is critical. Money that is not assigned a purpose tends to disappear. Workers who automate savings contributions, even at modest levels, are more likely to maintain consistency. Automation removes emotion from financial decisions. Emergency reserves deserve renewed emphasis. Economic data shows that job transitions are taking longer in certain sectors. A reserve that covers essential expenses for several months reduces stress and prevents forced financial decisions during income gaps. This reserve should prioritize liquidity and safety over returns. Beyond stability, 2026 also offers pathways to income expansion that are grounded in real demand. Contract-based work tied to professional skills continues to grow. Businesses increasingly outsource specific functions rather than hiring full-time staff. This creates opportunities for individuals with clearly defined expertise. Examples include operational consulting, compliance support, technical documentation, bookkeeping, data cleanup, and process optimization. These roles are not speculative. They are tied to ongoing business needs. Workers who package their skills clearly and price them transparently can build reliable supplemental income. Importantly, these income streams are based on value exchange rather than passive expectations. Time, expertise, or problem solving is exchanged for compensation. This aligns income with effort and avoids dependency on uncertain external variables. Career positioning is another 2026 reality check. Titles matter less than outcomes. Employers increasingly evaluate candidates based on demonstrated results rather than tenure alone. Workers who document achievements, quantify impact, and maintain updated professional records position themselves more effectively for raises or transitions. Negotiation also plays a role. Many workers underestimate the impact of structured negotiation. Research shows that individuals who negotiate compensation strategically often earn significantly more over time than those who do not. Preparation matters. Understand market rates, articulate value clearly, and frame requests around contribution rather than entitlement. Taxes are another lever that shapes net income. In 2026, understanding how income is taxed is essential. Workers should review filing status, deductions, and credits that apply to their situation. Accurate withholding prevents large year-end balances and supports smoother cash flow throughout the year. Long-term planning does not stop at retirement accounts. It includes aligning financial decisions with realistic life timelines. Education expenses, family responsibilities, and career peaks vary widely. Planning should reflect personal circumstances rather than generic benchmarks. One overlooked area is time management as a financial tool. Time inefficiency often translates into higher spending. Missed deadlines, rushed decisions, and lack of planning create avoidable costs. Structured routines and forward planning reduce both stress and expense leakage. Another 2026 consideration is adaptability to economic signals. Interest rate shifts, labor demand changes, and policy updates affect income environments. Staying informed through reliable data sources helps workers anticipate changes rather than react late. Financial resilience also includes psychological discipline. Fear-driven decisions often cause long-term damage. Panic selling of assets, abandoning skill development, or overreacting to short-term volatility can derail progress. A steady, informed approach produces better outcomes over time. Community and professional networks provide resilience as well. Shared knowledge, referrals, and support reduce isolation during transitions. Engaging with peers in similar fields offers perspective and opportunity. As 2026 unfolds, one truth stands out. The old assumption that steady employment alone guarantees financial comfort no longer holds. Income must be managed actively, skills must be refreshed deliberately, and expenses must be aligned with reality. This reality check is not pessimistic, it is practical. Those who respond with structure, discipline, and adaptability place themselves in a stronger position than those who rely on outdated models. By combining skill relevance, expense efficiency, disciplined cash flow, and informed planning, anyone earning in the United States can navigate 2026 with greater control. These actions do not require extraordinary income or perfect conditions. They require consistency and clarity. The purpose of this reality check is not to create urgency driven by fear, but awareness driven by facts. When awareness translates into action, income becomes a tool rather than a source of stress. That shift defines financial strength in the United States moving through 2026 and beyond.